This trick is so simple but so effective to practice and improve your color mixing skills. It's not even fair. And it's not just an exercise, it can also help you with your color mixing in your everyday practice. So make sure you stay until the end, because I'm going to share with you a strategy that you can use if you struggle with colors sometimes. Alright, so start with a reference picture of your choice. Because I don't have a high-end printer, what I like to do for practice is cut off pictures in fine arts magazines. Usually they have decent quality and I have tons of them, so I don't care. The trick is just to get a piece of glass and place it over the image. Personally, I use a glass palette, so I just have to slide the picture in between, and that's pretty useful. If you don't have a glass palette like this, well, first, maybe you should, because it costs almost nothing. Like, I took this piece of glass from a glass frame and my palette used to be a glass shelf. You can often find pieces of glass like this. I recommend this setup with the gray backdrop. I like to have a neutral gray background because it helps with all the subtle nuances of hue and value. It's the best choice of color for your palette background, unless you have a very specific project in mind and you want to get the same, background color on your palette and on your canvas. But for this exercise, it's better to get something like a neutral gray, like exactly between black and white, not warm, not cool in any way, just as neutral and desaturated as you can find. That's neutral gray for you. And it's going to be the best for color accuracy. Alright, so let's jump for the very first exercise. It's getting the right color. Color is tricky and it's difficult to mix exactly the right color for the right area of a painting. Usually I say that color is more, a dynamic thing that moves around and transforms itself, and that a painting is not a sort of a color by number thing where you paint separate spots with unique individual colors. However, it is still very important to be able to nail the right color when you need it. Normally, for a given painting, I would start by pre-mixing a couple of key colors in advance and then complete the rest in a more dynamic way during the painting process. Some colors are so subtle and nuanced that it's worthless to pre-mix them, but for the most part, you can mix a couple of key main colors of the painting in advance, and this will simplify and make the process more fluid. So for this exercise, the goal is to premix between 3 and 10 key color spots based on your model. Simply speaking, we want to mix colors on the side and place them on the glass surface to see if they match. And it is that simple. Well, the idea, at least, is simple. The idea of the exercise, color mixing, it's still complicated, and it's great to train a complicated skill with a simple exercise. That's the way to go if we want to improve. So let's choose a couple of interesting color spots on the picture and start mixing. So this is a painting by Raphael, and you might think that you need to get the same pigments that the artist had, but it's not really the point here. You can never get the right color out of the tube anyway, so you might as well use the colors that you have at your disposal and try to get as close as possible with what you have. Now, in my color theory course, and you can find a link if you're interested, I do have a suggestion of pigments that are close to what Raphael might have used, or more precisely, inspired by the color schemes of Raphael. And it's just a suggestion. And more importantly, this palette that I had in the course comes with modern alternatives to replace, the unreliable or the more dangerous pigments. Some might have been banned since. And I'll try to start with this selection just to show that most colors can be obtained with any starting palette, because this is typically not my starting recommended palette in any way, shape, or form. My palette is it's not linked, but it's in the description if you're interested. But if you don't have any of those paint tubes, those are of Raphael or mine, don't worry, and you don't need to go ahead and buy all of them if you don't need them. So alongside my course, I created a free color wheel that you can download. It's on my website. It's just a PDF. It will give you a good overview of the colors and the pigments that might be useful to you depending on the colors that you want to mix, because obviously you're not always going to mix the same type of stuff. So having a good overview is very important. For the sake of this exercise, since we have this palette idea inspired by Raphael, let's use the following pigments. So I've got flake white, and here I'm using a substitute because flake white is not available here where I live. Naples yellow, again, this is not the original Naples yellow, which is to contain lead. We have yellow ochre, vermilion, which is also a substitute. It's actually cadmium red, cadmium scarlet if you prefer, red ochre, and I don't have verdigris or viridian at the moment, plus it's really unnecessary here for this exercise, so let's just skip it. I have ultramarine blue and carbon black. In this case, this is ivory black. But as I said, don't lose sleep on this pigment selection. Use the paint that you have. You basically need some type of yellow, red, blue, some type of black and white, and you're pretty much good to go. What matters is how you mix and the strategies that you apply to get the right color. And this is what this exercise is focused on. All right, so let's imagine that we have to mix this blue piece of drapery here. So the first thing to do is to find a couple of candidate pigments. Pick the pigments that appear to be the closest to the target color. In our case, we only have a single blue in our selection, but if you have several of those, try them to see which one tends more towards purple or more towards cyan and green, and pick whatever is the closest to the target. If needed, you can check the color wheel to research what is the best pigment for your mix. This is what it's made for. With pigments, you always need to try first and see how they react. Mix them with white if possible, just a little bit, to see if they have some type of unpredicted undertone that can throw you off. There can be a huge difference between what the theory or what your first intuition might predict and the result that the real pigments will produce when mixed. Since we have this, this glass surface trick, it's super easy. You can make a small sample stroke and lay it down on the model if you want. That's the great thing about this technique. When mixing, remember to use the following order: hue, value, and chroma. If you don't know what hue, value, and chroma is, just refer to my other videos on color theory. I'm not going to repeat myself too much here. So first, we want to mix for the right hue, then value, and finally chroma. So first, hue. I mix ultramarine blue and white, but I see that in this case, it might tend too much towards the purple side of the wheel. And here I just check with my palette knife and it seems quite obvious to me, but if you're not sure, you can take the time and apply a test stroke on the picture. So to pull it more towards the cyan and the green side, I decided to mix it with a small touch of yellow ochre. Note that it may very well be that this greenish component, like this yellowish undertone, it might come from the paint aging and turning yellow over time. It might very well be that Raphael himself had a more purple ultramarine blue when he painted it back in the days, but it has yellowed since then. Or maybe it comes from the varnish, or maybe it comes from the reproduction quality. Whatever it might be, the exercise is only about imitating the color that we have in front of our eyes. So we'll go for this yellowish blue here. And here, as you can see, I was just a little too strong on the yellow side, so I compensate again with more ultramarine blue. And this is how you navigate the color space. This is what you have to understand, and this is what this exercise is going to teach you. Navigating the color space, using the color wheel if needed. You pull towards one side, but if it goes too far, you pull it back, you compensate, you balance again. And with trial and error, with subtle adjustments, you can create a hue that's just exactly what you need, and you can nail it every time. So 2 is value. Once I'm done with hue, I can make the highlights and the shadows. Here in this case, I don't need to go very far, so I just add some ivory black and I mix it with blue and a touch of red ochre here to obtain those darker shades in the shadows. Note that in this case, Raphael painted with a warm reddish underpainting, and that parts of this reddish drapery in the shadows are still showing with visible red passages. So it's not something I can mix right here on my palette. It can only be obtained with a multi-layer technique. Just keep in mind that for shadows, I don't use only black. I try to adjust with other pigments and try to keep the character of the shadows, not just put black and create shadows. That's not how it works. 3, chroma. The final thing to adjust is the chroma. During the mixing, the chroma can go out of control, either too high, so too saturated if you want, or too dull. So it's important to check that your color hasn't become too dull, which is usually the case as a result of too much mixing. And placing it on your model here is the best way to check that. Just take a little stroke, put it on the picture and see if it works. That's the beauty of this glass trick. So that's the exercise. With the glass surface trick, you can use trial and error and improve your mixing skills significantly. With good theory and a proper trial and error strategy, this exercise can make color mixing much easier. But the best part about this idea is that it doesn't have to be a mere exercise. Look at this. You can create yourself a nice vertical palette with a piece of glass and place your model behind it. It's not cheating if that's what you're worried about. To be honest, having the model image right next to the palette doesn't make color mixing less complicated. It just simplifies the trial and error process that's already in place in any type of color mixing situation. And this time, rather than trying and getting the wrong color on the canvas, potentially damaging the painting, the final painting, you just take the time to do a small test sample right here next to your palette on the image to make the corrections before you need to touch your canvas. And as I said earlier, it's not cheating, because color mixing is far more than just picking the right color and putting it at the right space. As I said, it's not a game of color by number. It's a complex, dynamic process including a lot of things: palette mixing and colors naturally blending on the canvas as you paint. So getting the right color for a couple of spots is just the beginning. It's just the beginning of color mixing. There's a lot more to painting than that. The glass device is just a way to go faster and avoid making damaging mistakes on your canvas, and that's it. And if it can help you in the beginning, that's perfect. And unlike a sort of a cheat that does all the work for you, you'll see that you'll probably not use this trick very often, only when colors feel too complicated and you need to double check basically. Why? Because just having the model under your palette is very distracting, and quite frankly, I find it annoying. I personally never use this trick anymore for that reason. I did so many color mixing exercises in the past that now I'm confident in my palette skills, so I prefer keeping my background nice and neutral so that I can see the colors without distractions. So here is the strategy that I think you should have with this glass trick. Use it as a checking device, as a visual confirmation tool. Try to do as much as you can with your naked eye. Do as much as possible without it. When you feel that you need a little help, use it to confirm and validate your progress or modify and correct. This glass trick is not only useful for color mixing with, a flat picture as a model, you can also hold it in front of real life models. Just make sure that your glass doesn't have a tint, by the way, and it's true for everything we've said so far. So that's the trick. And always be on the lookout for pieces of glass wherever you can find them. They are always useful for an artist. Another cool idea for this glass surface is to use it to predict the result of a glaze, which can otherwise be quite difficult to do without trying it on the actual canvas itself and risking to damage the painting if the glaze doesn't work as planned. And while we are talking about it, if you want to learn more about glazing, you can check out the video that I made on this subject explaining everything here. You can click here and I'll see you there. Thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon, and check the description if you want to know more about my painting courses. And as always, joy and inspiration to you, my friends. Bye.